Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk with Anthea Isaac. And I am so delighted that you have joined us this time. Last episode was super hit, and I'm so thankful for all your comments and love. And this week, I once again have another amazing guest. She's Ria Rajkumar, and we got to know each other because of K pop. And adding up to that K-pop journey, she has inspired me through her YouTube videos, and she does dance covers, and she has a lot of stuff to talk about. And I'm glad that she accepted our invite. So let us welcome her. Welcome, Ria.
Hi guys, I'm Ria Rajkumar. I'm so happy to be on this interview with Anthea. I'm really glad to be here and excited to answer all the questions and stuff. Really looking forward to it.
So thank you so much for coming, Ria. And one of the very first questions that I wanted to ask is about I got to see one of your YouTube videos where you explained about your journey of getting into your medical college. So when I heard it, you had to write multiple exams, choose another course, and then decide whether to choose medicine or not. So the very story actually explains how consistent and passionate you were towards medicine. And it is kind of a tiring journey too. So I really think that story can really inspire our viewers. So can you explain it in a little detail?
Okay, so what happened is I've been wanting to become a doctor ever since I was a kid, like for real, I'm not kidding. Ever since I was in school. So it has always been a dream. I didn't think of an alternate career option at all. It was always to become a doctor. And it was quite set. So after my schooling, I had been taking coaching and stuff, and I wrote my exam that year in 2016. Everything was fine, but then the problem was that year NEET was having a lot of issues, especially with state-wise, like which states should take up NEET as a medical entrance exam, because Tamil Nadu has their own system. So it was quite a clash between state government, central, lot of laws going up, Supreme Court issues, all of that. So it was a mess that year, but we still gave the exam. And I had to give exam twice that year because due to, again, I'm not going to explain in detail, maybe you can watch my video to my viewers, but basically that year, due to some issues, NEET had to be conducted twice, and I had to write the same exam twice. And even though I got pretty good enough marks, but that year Tamil Nadu wasn't accepting NEET students. So even though I got good marks, I couldn't get into a Tamil Nadu medical college. And I tried going to other colleges, but it's quite competitive, especially at all India level. So due to a lot of issues that year, I was not able to get in. So I had to either way, just naturally take a break. Here. It was somewhere around October 2016 is when I understood I need to take a break, again write the exam next year. So October, November, December, Jan, and then it was 2017. That's the time I got into K-pop actually during my break here. 2017 March by accident. Well, I'll talk about that part later, just this part. So I prepared for my exams again, need to all on my own. I didn't go for coaching again this year. Prepared and then wrote the exam again in May. And the results are supposed to come in June, but again it was the same issues. The states were not deciding if they were okay with taking the NEET students or not. The laws were not set. It was nothing was sure enough. So this time I didn't want to risk. I had to have a second option. Last year I didn't keep a second option at all. All admissions were gone. So this year I wanted to have a second option, but again, as I told you, I didn't have a career option. Alternate career options. It was difficult to decide on what to choose if not to be a doctor. It was the most difficult decision. But then I searched a lot, talked to a lot of my friends, and I found about this course called Liberal Studies. It sounds what it sounds like. It's liberal studies. It's free. As in, you study everything. The course was, the college is called a School of Liberal Studies, part of a university in Gujarat, Gandhinagar. And the course is basically that for the first 2 years, you study everything. You touch on all kinds of subjects, science, maths, politics, architecture, history, everything. And on the third year, you choose a major. So it gives you 2 years of chance to explore, understand what you like and everything. Plus, the college had a lot of opportunities like internship and stuff. So I carefully made the decision, fine, this might be the alternative option. If not doctor, I would want to do something creative, something different. And I gave the exam for that college, and surprisingly, Well, I was quite happy, but surprisingly, I got All India fourth rank when I gave that exam, including the interview and everything. So it seemed like, okay, maybe this is a sign I need to go in there. And normally, NEET results come in June, and we get in, our counseling happens in July, and we get into college in August. But it was June and no results came out. So June was the time I got my results for the other college, and July also no results came out for NEET. So I had to just go for the other college. Went to Ahmedabad all the way from Chennai, spent like a month there in a totally different college and had so much fun actually. I danced a lot to a lot of K-pop there. Turned out there were a lot of K-pop fans there. Then I joined NCC there. I became the parade commander for the Independence Day celebration. I joined in the basketball team there. Like I did everything in just 1 month, which is quite surprising to me too as well. But when towards the end of that 1 month is when they suddenly released the results and they said fine, yes, Tamil Nadu is okay with NEET and we can finally have the counseling. So this was the time when I was perfectly set in that other college, was really happy with my new friends and doing all of my activities and stuff. So what to say, yeah, but I had to make the decision at that time. I was told like the counseling is going to happen and I have to come back to Chennai in order to attend, and my marks were good enough to get me into Madras Medical College, which is like the top college here. So that was the time I had to make a major decision, doctor or liberal studies, medicine or liberal studies. So that's when I introspected, thought a lot, and then finally said, yeah, I know this is fun. What I'm doing right now is fun, but then being a doctor is something I've been thinking of since I was a kid. So finally I'm getting to do it. I should not give up on it. And that's when I made the decision, like, fine, let's go back. So it was hard to say goodbye to the friends and everything else I had made up in Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar, but I came back and it was for the good. Now I know it's for the good, but yeah, that's how I came back and I finally joined Madras Medical College. Now it's been 3 years since I'm in MMC and it's been a great journey, but I don't regret going to that other college because of that I'm doing a lot of new things, including doing my YouTube, K-pop and everything. So yeah, that's my bumpy ride, my journey, but I'm finally here as a medical student, as a YouTuber, dancer, everything.
So as you mentioned, like, yeah, the story is a known one for me personally, but like when I got to hear this, I was able to kind of relate to the monotony, the tiring, like mental games that you have to play with yourself, and you might have also felt lonely and pressurized by choosing a career, like choosing a decision and things. So how did you feel and how did you make out of it?
It was honestly very difficult. Like this one time I was actually traveling when I was in Ahmedabad, I was traveling to my college and I met this lady who I was sharing an auto rickshaw with, Turns out she was also from Chennai and we, bonded over that. She was saying, yeah, I've been living here for a while. And I told her like, I'm an aspiring medical student, but I'm currently here. It was weird because she told me it's good that you're not going to medicine because it's so hard there. It's so difficult there, especially for girls. She told me a lot of things like that. And that time it did sound convincing, and she had her own reasons, so things like this made me very doubtful about going back into medicine, and it was a difficult journey. A lot of times I questioned myself, should I go or not? But I remember doing this one thing. The day I had to make a decision, I made a pros and cons list of both medicine and staying back in this college, so I did all of that, and it took me time. I took my time to make the decision. Did it very systematically. I literally wrote down the things that were like an advantage or a disadvantage. Talked to my parents, talked to my friends. Took about few days, and I finally came up. Ultimately, what made me come back is the fact that it was my first motivation and my dream to become a doctor. Though in between, because of all the laybacks and government policies, blah blah blah, things happened, but. It was a difficult time, but then I got through it somehow, and I had my support of my parents as well. Very thankful for that. Not all parents are usually that supportive. Like, they let me go to Ahmedabad. My mom also came with me, so it was pretty an interesting experience, honestly. All of that, yeah.
So while you were talking, I got to analyze that most of the people used to advise you that when you have to make a decision, you have to choose what your heart says. but you just gave us a new
Yeah.
notion where you write up and you systematically think, so that I guess that even if viewers are finding it difficult to understand what their heart says, they can really sit down and do the systematic work, and ultimately that also becomes a good decision. So thank you for teaching us
True.
that. So how do you manage when I saw you, I was introduced to you as a dancer. Then I came to know that you are a medicine student. So it was kind of surprising, because even now it is so superficial to say that a professional course aspirant is doing something that's related to entertainment and more into passion. So the most of the stereotypical advice would be that, like, you have to concentrate on this. If you're taking medicine, it's only medicine, and do not concentrate on anything else. But when I see your life is set in a different tone, and you're kind of balancing it pretty, like, superb. So how do you do that? Like, I know doing medicine is not easy, and I also know that even if it is considered to be entertainment, it needs practice and a couple of dedication. So how do you balance them?
The things that you mentioned, the stereotype, how people stereotype the medical profession, how they expect medical students to not do anything else except studying. Well, it may seem like I'm having an ideal life, balancing everything and all that, but I've had my share, fair share of receiving all the stereotypical comments and everything. Like, I'm glad you asked that question, because everybody tells me that you balance it a lot well, and I'm so great to see you doing all that, but nobody asks me the facts behind and how much I've faced it. Even now I face a lot. So see, even for me it's quite surprising, like, I'm doing all of this. I never imagined that I will be a K-pop dance cover artist. I'll start a YouTube channel, let alone I didn't even know YouTube existed when I was in school. Only, like, it was so random. Only during my break year, when I was studying for my NEET, I logged out of all of my social media. I had no social media like Facebook, Instagram, nothing. And I had only had YouTube on my phone, because I didn't use it much. So I was like, why uninstall it? And that's been very, it was just accidental that while studying, YouTube happened to be the only break, because it was the only app on my phone. That's when I found K-pop. That's when I found YouTubers and everything. That's how I started trying to start a YouTube channel. I used to like dancing a lot, but I stopped in school again, due to studying, kind of due to studying. I could not focus more on dancing. Basketball I've been playing since school. So I really stopped dancing in school. And when I saw K-pop, it felt like an opportunity for me to start dancing again, It really gave me the inspiration to start dancing and try out these things. So when I finally started my YouTube channel was during the time period when my results had not come out for NEET, and I had just written my NEET exam. So it was a free time when I started my YouTube channel. Later on, when I started my college and everything, I got used to doing YouTube. It was just K-pop dance covers. But I got used to introducing myself, like, I'm a YouTuber, I do dance covers and everything. So it was definitely quite new for a lot of people, including my college. They'd be like, do you do YouTube? So my own college mates would give a really fascinated kind of reaction, mostly, like the people I knew. But there were also people who, used to troll me. I'm pretty sure some people made memes about me. I guess because I was pretty open on my social media, talk a lot. So initial period of my time, I used to, struggle a lot. I used to have an identity crisis, like how I should be. Should I portray myself as an ideal medical student, or should I, on my social media, should I be just that K-pop fangirl who dances to K-pop? So I had a huge identity crisis, and I used to always have my account private or public, and used to keep shuffling like that. So, and it took me a lot of time to come to senses, and come to be open with the fact that I can be both. It was difficult for me also to come to the conclusion that I can be a medical student and a K-pop cover dancer who likes to, and a YouTuber, and. I have had my own, previous teachers and stuff who have, I really like my teachers and stuff, but there have been people who used to tell, okay, Riya, you've danced enough now, so now you can focus on studying. I'm like, yeah, yes, ma'am, I will do. But honestly speaking, when I started YouTube during my college and everything, I told myself one thing, that studies is always going to be priority. College is always going to be priority. Dance is going to be a hobby. YouTube is going to be a hobby. And the moment if I feel like dance is like, disturbing my studies or like bringing my studies down, that's the day I'm going to stop it. So I still keep that motto in my mind. It's like a principle for me that I follow. Until now, nothing has happened. I'm able to follow my studies properly, and I'm glad that I'm able to do it because I'm able to set an example. There are a lot of times I've received comments on YouTube. So ever since first was my dance covers, and later on I started to put up content about my medical college life, my vlogs and stuff. So my channel attracted a lot of medical students as my followers and my subscribers. So, but for them, it's quite surprising. They just think, okay, she's a medical student, and when they see my dance covers, they're like, whoa, why is she dancing? Why is she wearing clothes like that and everything? And there are times like there'll be a person who just followed or subscribed to my channel because I uploaded a vlog. Then my next video would be a dance cover, and then I'll get a comment like, does a doctor dance like that? You should go study. Why are you dancing like this?
Oh
I've
my
got
God.
comments like that. Yeah, I really got comments like that. Like, to be exact, in Tamil, it was written in Tamil saying, "Ipriya doctor aduvaanga poi padima." There was a comment like that, and and there were many, not many, but yeah, there comments like this. Even one comment is enough for you to become sad. I really want to say that to everybody watching, please don't put out any such comments to people who are trying hard just to do what they love. I just do what I love. I like dancing. I created a platform for myself on YouTube, okay? Because honestly, being a medical student, I don't have time to go to events all the time. So YouTube is like my place where I can go and dance and come back. I see a song, I like dancing, I go. I do it on my break time. I do it on weekends when I have time to study, when I don't have exams. It's not impossible to balance both of them. It's really like totally up to you. Again, having a schedule, having like a proper timetable of when you are going to do what, everything, like it really helps a lot. And honestly, I've realized we have a lot of time. 24 hours is a lot of time. I can wake up in the morning, go to college, come back, and maybe one day I can do dance cover in the evening, another day I can study, and apart from that, I even have basketball practice in the evening because I'm in the college team. So I've been able to do all of that, and still I'm here in third year. I've passed my first year, I passed my second year. I've got like gotten all decent grades and everything. I'm pretty good in college stuff. Go for all case presentations, go for academic events, quizzes, whatnot. Like I'm there everywhere. It's not like I'm not going. It's not like I'm just dancing. But in college, I'm like this. I'm the badge representative in my college. That itself has like a lot of work. So I'm able to do all of that. So I want to tell people, take me as an example to do what you want to do, even if you are going to, become going to become a medical student. Don't think that once you enter a medical college, you are not going to be able to do anything, because that's what I was told. I was told that medicine is fine, but your life is gonna be just like when you go. You'll have no social life, you'll always be studying. They'll tell examples of their seniors or relatives who are medical students and they don't get time, they lose weight so much. Well, I also lost weight, but I'm happy for that. I'm happy. So, yeah, there are many incidents like that. So, to the people who tell me, there are a lot of people who tell me they're happy to see me do this and they get inspired by me. So I'm really happy I'm able to do that. I'm able to set an example. I get the hate comments here and there once in a while. There are people who find it hard to accept that a medical student can also dance or pursue her passions, but there are only a few. So, but the amount of people who support me, follow me, or get inspired by me is like even more. So I guess I'm doing the right thing, I think. I think it's all going well. So yeah, that's how I do everything. And if you want to know more, you can watch my videos. I've told everything. I've spoken a lot about this in my videos. So I've spoken a lot about this. A lot of people ask me, right? So I spoke a lot about it.
So thank you. I'm sure the viewers will go and visit your YouTube for sure. And we will also have it in the description, so make sure to click that. And so you just mentioned that you can do all things, and keeping you as a role model, we want to try that. And it was kind of actually inspiring, because you being confident about yourself is again one huge thing, and I really appreciate you for that. So personally, even I find it difficult to juggle with different roles I play. Sometimes I even feel that my fangirl spirit, is always thirsty because I don't relish it with watching YouTube videos or things because I have stuff to do. So it always makes me kind of feel bad. So can you just share few points on how you, like you said that you have a timetable and do stuff. So can you give it a little more detail so that people like me can also learn from you?
Sure, sure. Well, I gotta say, I'm not ideal. There are times that I also flake off and end up binge watching YouTube videos. So it's normal to those people who want to say, even you, it's normal to, get into that fangirl phase. But that's what we have to tell us. It's okay, fine. We have to get back on track. So what I usually do is, for example, right now I don't have college, so it's comparatively easier. I have more time and only online classes, so it's fine. I'll give you examples of when I'm actually in college. So college schedule is like usually in the morning I go to college and then evening basketball practice during the tournament season. Then I come back. So I usually set my weekends for all the leisure stuff, Saturdays and Sundays for if I have to shoot a dance cover, I'll do that. And I travel to college via train, and I use that time. It takes like around 1 hour to go to college, okay, on my train. So I use that time to plan a lot of things. Like in the morning while I'm going to college, I see my classes that I'm gonna have, and I see if like exams that are gonna come up, and I have my notes in my phone. Notes as in the timetable schedule that I make on my phone as well, and I have a written timetable at home as well. So I take the time in the morning train journey to decide, okay, fine, this is what I'm gonna do in the day. And then after my college is done, again I have the journey back in the train. So I listen to music and I still plan myself what all things I need to do. If I feel like I'm listening to a song and today I don't have much homework assignments or not an exam coming up, then I'll come back, try to learn a dance and shoot it right away like that. And when I have exams, then I try to focus totally on that. Like I tell myself to take a break and focus totally on exams. Then weekends are the most productive time for me where I can do a lot of things. Like when I have a weekend, so I'll divide like my morning time for studying, evening time if I have to shoot a dance cover or anything else. And coming to like fangirling, watching K-pop videos and everything, it's like between studying. So during my exam schedule, it's like the perfect example to give. When I have my university exams, which are like final exams, I again deactivate all of my social media, but I have my YouTube going on. So it's like I'll complete one chapter, and my reward for completing a chapter would be watching a K-pop MV or watching a variety show. So I make it a good thing. It's like I make it my reward for doing something, studying something. I'll be like, okay, fine, now I get to watch BTS run episode or I get to watch 80s or something like that. And the music videos, the dancing are like great break for me, when I'm extremely tired or extremely exhausted with studying. The music and the dancing really helps a lot in freshening up my mind. When I'm really exhausted, I just take a break, listen to some K-pop music or learn a choreography. Learning a choreography also helps your mind to align, when you're like extremely mixed up in your mind. Learning a choreography is basically you're concentrating on the steps, trying to coordinate your hands and legs and everything. It's a good brain work as well. So that's how I usually manage, having a timetable, using every time that I get, every free time, for example, the train journeys and everything. Somehow I'm able to use all of those times to manage everything. Yeah. So I have got my days where I don't do anything and I end up binge watching dramas or stuff. That's totally fine as long as we are able to have proper time balance for everything. So,
talk about that binge watching. One of the darkest holes. So,
yeah.
So again, we kind of discussed this before, but again, I'm bringing it to notice so that we can dig in deeper to this concept where we bring in fangirling. Fangirling is always considered to be a negative term or like something that's not ethical or legal. So, how does your friends react, and have you ever been criticized for being a fangirl, and what does being a fangirl means to you, and what all the things that you had to face, and how have you overcome all those criticisms?
It's a very interesting question. I'm thinking back in my life to all the, familiar experiences. I used to fangirl even before I got into K-pop, just that I didn't know I was fangirling. I used to watch all these English shows, Flash, Castle, House, and a lot of shows like that. And I remember saving pictures and stuff, everything. I remember a lot of people used to do all of that, and it is pretty normal, Why fangirling is seen as a different aspect in K-pop is that because we have named ourselves like we name BTS fans as ARMY, like I'm an ARMY, 18 stay, and then we have certain communities for ourselves, like named ourselves, and then have a fandom, have WhatsApp groups, conduct activities. So K-pop fangirling is like just taken it to a bit more larger scale. I guess that's why people see us like that. And yeah, when I first got into K-pop, it was very new to me that there was a culture like this, that people get together, there are events, and there's WhatsApp groups where people talk about it and stuff. So initially for me, I was like really happy. Wow, there are people whom I can talk to. Because first when I got into K-pop, I had no one to talk to. I was like, please, I need to tell how this song looks good. I need to tell somebody, but nobody was there. So first when I got in, I had only seen K-pop fans and I was pretty happy, but I didn't know how the outside world thinks about us and all that. I got to know most of the reactions through Twitter and stuff, how other people talk about K-pop, and I did start realizing how people stereotype K-pop, how people stereotype the idols that we talk about and stuff. So I remember being a little sensitive about it, I used to post like crazy on my stories and stuff, like about the idols that I like or a dance sequence that I like. And oh my god, he looks so cute. Oh my god, Park Ji-min looks so cute. Oh my god, this dance is amazing and stuff like that. And I remember when BTS won the Billboard Award, I posted like a huge poster on my thing. I'm so happy BTS won Billboard Awards, like everything. Now when I look at it, I was thinking, what would the other people think? A lot of people told me like, Ria, you've changed a lot from school. Honestly, I don't think I've changed a lot. Just that I've had all of this. You didn't know I was like this. Then I did change myself a bit throughout the years. Even now I see people who newly get into K-pop are a bit super excited, and I totally understand it. I was there in that phase, but I think gradually we all kind of tone it down, learn where to show too much of ourselves. And I was initially very sensitive on how people saw me as fangirling, like if I posted certain pictures and everything. But very slowly I did come out of it. Instead of making it just me fangirling, I thought that I was telling people about, I was educating people about K-pop. If people have a bad idea or like a negative thought about K-pop, I thought maybe through my stories I could change it. So I started posting that way, instead of just showing that, oh my god, they're so good, I started describing my post in a way they understand why I like it, like a BTS Billboard Award. Then later on, whatever awards they won, I put up like, these are the reasons they won, in a different way, of course, not like facts, not like a news report, but in my own way. And then, for example, dance sequences, then I would post dance videos or of idols dancing. So people would realize there's a reason we like K-pop. It's not just pure fangirling because they look good or anything. So I tried to change myself in that way, so I could that's what I told myself when I'm posting, so that I'm sharing my fangirling, or I share things that I like, and so that you also know the reasons why I like it. There's no blind reason why I'm fangirling. There's a reason to it. There's a good enough reason why I like it. So
exactly. Actually, I can relate to this whole situation because I was also hyped and I got all the criticisms, and there have been times when people kind of share their negative remarks. I directly end up deleting their contact or blocking them from status. So that's how sensitive I was. So I can totally understand.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of confident because I'm also doing some parallel stuff. So people kind of respect me for my ideas and the things that I do.
Exactly. That also, mattered a lot because me being a medical student helped in that way. Because I was a medical student, they were not immediately judging me for being a K-pop fan. Will get it. They were like, she's a K-pop fan, but she's also a medical student. So there must be some reason she's a fangirl. Get it? The people think that way, In that way, being a medical student and a K-pop fan, I was able to maybe get a lot of medical aspirants think that K-pop is a good thing. Maybe they should look into it rather than looking at K-pop at some other way, you know. Instead of that, maybe if through me they got to know K-pop, I hope they saw K-pop in a positive light. So that it's a very good point. And public views do matter in that way. They correlate things that way, you know. They don't just see their own perspective, but relate to the people who are portraying it, the fans. Yeah,
so medical students, make sure to check out K-pop. Okay.
Yeah, it's really good and it'll help you study.
Actually, the one thing is that since you brought in, we were fans of English series, and I was a One Direction fan. So when I told that I was into pop, people were actually giving me some good looks, like an upgraded look that I listen to English songs and I can actually understand English. But when I told that I'm a K-pop fan, it was totally like they looked down upon me. So it is also there comes the racist kind of things. So,
yeah, I know. I just feel like it's because they are not, what to say, much aware, you know. I mean, when we all became K-pop fans, I think that it was a time when K-pop wasn't completely famous, but not less famous either. It was a middle ground. A lot of people were just trying to find about it. When it comes to English pop and One Direction and stuff, it became pop culture, you know. It became pop culture. It became a regular thing that everybody should just know. It became a cool criteria. So people started to associate with it like that. Even if they didn't like the music or like they didn't judge it, you know, because it just became a worldwide phenomenon. Western music has been there for a while in the industry, you know. So nobody judges it. But because K-pop is new, I think it took time for people to accept it. Even now, people are new to it. It's taking time for people to accept. But of course, I've seen a lot of improvements. Like I can see people. I'll give you a very good example. Like I once met up with a lot of my friends, just new friends who I had met, and they knew I was a K-pop fan. So because they were all curious and they knew I was into K-pop, they came and asked me about K-pop, like why K-pop was famous, why K-pop is so popular now, why is BTS so popular now. And I was able to give a good answer, a convincing answer to make them realize why we like K-pop, you know. So in that way, us being K-pop fans also play a major role. I mean, to those people who are open to listening to us, open to listening to and to understand why we like K-pop. So we also, as K-pop fans, do matter in bringing in K-pop to other people.
Yeah, cool. So, as you mentioned, we have been talking about balancing stuff and doing a lot of things. So, as far you have answered, I can see that you're pretty well planned about life. But there might have been situations where you get into total mental breakdowns, and even since you have to update your YouTube and your social media accounts, there might have been some pressure that you had to handle. So, what were your thoughts, and how did you try to come over them, and how did that happen?
Another very good question. Nobody's ever asked me all this. It is very difficult. I mean, not very, very difficult, but it is. It has its own added pressure. But ultimately, I get out of all of this only by telling myself, you know, all of this is just a hobby. Like YouTube and all that. I don't force myself to, for example, update my YouTube every week or every month. I do it when I like it. When I feel like doing something, I do it. It's my personal choice. So there are times when people demand videos from me. Like there have been times when people look into my YouTube channel, then follow me on Instagram and message me, can you please make a video about all the books we need and all that. So they make it seem like as if I'm a machine who makes videos for them, or I'm responsible for them to get into medicine. I mean, I'm extremely glad to help them out, but then it's not my job to make videos for you to get into medicine. I can, like, it's my on my time I'm able to make videos. I'm glad it's helping you, but I can't like I don't make videos on demand. I make videos when I like. So one thing, I had to do that a lot, because in between I got there was a lot of time when a lot of people used to message me, make videos about this, make videos about that, and I got really, really pressured, you know, thinking, oh my god, I need to make this, I need to make that. Finally, I had to tell myself, no, I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for myself. You know, I needed to tell myself that and get out of it. Then not only from that, like when it comes to medicine, there are times when we all have to get really less marks in college, okay? Every medical student definitely has that kind of experience. Those who are going to join also, you will have it, so don't worry. And you will definitely end up getting sad and depressed. I've had my share of experience. And there are times when I've got less marks and then I start blaming myself, thinking, what if because I'm dancing and YouTubing and stuff, I wasted my time or something. So it is a constant clash. It does happen a lot of times, but it's normal. Then I realized, see, it's not just me. There are a lot of people who are not doing YouTube or dancing, but they are also going through the same problems. So YouTube or dancing is not the problem. It just happens. Yeah, if at all, I sometimes felt like it was disturbing my studies or it was taking too much of my time, I took a break. There are a lot of times I took long-term breaks from YouTubing or social media. Even quite recently, I quit from Instagram and stuff for about 2 weeks or so, because we need it. Social media can be a very dangerous place, a very toxic place at times. It's a very hard place to live in. It's a world of its own. So yeah, I realized that a lot. So you need to take your breaks a lot. It's not the actual life. You need to be back in real life. I've gotten pressure and this kind of stress from all aspects of my life, like from studies when I get less marks, from YouTubing when, for example, I get hate comments or I get some bad comments, or anything. It could be anything, a video that didn't turn out as well I wanted to. Then it comes from dance. When I go for dance competitions, for example, I didn't win or I didn't pass through a particular round. It happened quite recently. That's why I'm bringing it out. Like we recently had an online regional round contest, and because I've been there in the contest for so long, and I didn't think that I thought I would easily pass through the online round, but I still didn't get through this time, and that was so depressing. And even though like people told me like it seemed like it was unfair and we wanted to support you and everything, and it was overwhelming to see how much people supported and told me that it's nice, but even then you kind of do get stressed out, right? So because of that, I stopped making covers, stopped doing anything. I was just in my room not doing anything. So all these episodes happen. My life is not ideal life when I do everything. It's just not like that. It is very tough. Like even recently I cover and I was extremely happy about my dance cover. But then some random person just decided to come and tell me, your cover is not good. They just said that, and I was like, why? I was so happy. Like I was so happy with my own cover that I fangirled over my own cover, because I was happy with my outfit. I was happy with my hairstyle, and overall I am like, it was an 80s song and I'm a big fan of 80s.
Of course, we know that.
Yeah.
Within a day you came up with that and you wore Seonghwa's attire. Yeah, he's my bias, so yes, I know.
Yeah, I was extremely happy with my cover. I used to watch my own cover a dozen of times, like, oh my god, I've done it so well. And then after a few days, somebody decides to comment saying, looks don't matter to me, the video is not nice, the cover is not nice, something like that. But at the end, they said, I'm not a hater, I just wanted to say this. So, I mean, fine, dude, it's okay, but then even though you may not want to hurt, it does hurt, So it's very important on how each of your words matter. What you say does matter to other people. So one should choose their words wisely. Usually when I get comments like this, I usually, just straight away delete them or just keep it to myself, maybe tell my mom or something. But this time I thought I'll tell my friends, and it kind of made it feel better. And me and my friends told me like maybe we could reply like this. We gave a really nice friendly reply telling them, your comment is not good. It's not helping. That person also was a fellow dancer, so we should all be supporting each other. And that did the job. That person deleted the comment actually. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is, number one, if you ever do face things like this, it does help to tell your friends. It does help to talk to other people. It really does help a lot. In past few years, I've realized that. Second thing is, if you do get hate comments like this, instead of retaliating back with another hate comment, if you end up give a nice good reply, reasonable reply, like that person said this was the problems and stuff. I said like, thank you for your reply, but it was kind of a hate comment and we should be supporting each other. We shouldn't be putting out stuff like that. So I guess giving out comments like that, if you want to, does help. Otherwise, ignoring is also a good option. So yeah, these are the two things I drew from that. So Like even for basketball, if I didn't perform well in a tournament or didn't score well, or my coach scolded me on a particular day, I would get sad immediately. I'm a person who does get affected very easily for someone who balances too much. But yeah, these are all part of the experiences. It's very important to come back from that depressive moment or a depressive phase. It's okay, it's totally normal to get sad, be affected, but we have to keep moving on. And you're talking to your friends, your parents, your family really helps a lot. So if you have good friends, good family who listen to you, make use of them. Really helps a lot.
Yeah, so always, like as you mentioned, social media is a different platform, and we are just requesting you to use it, like to spread love and also receive love. So just
Yes,
treat
that's
others
important.
like you want to be treated. So if you want to be loved,
Exactly.
just show love. So that's the
Yes.
thing. So since you mentioned about your dance cover and your costumes, yes, of course, we are going to talk about that. So how do you come up with such fashion ideas? Like the 80s MV was released a day before, and it is quarantine. And the next day you came up with a costume with the same things. I don't know where you find the raw materials of stitch it. How do you do that? You always have a special touch on your fashion, and I just want to delight our viewers with your fashionista
Thank
advices.
you. Thank you that you like my outfits and stuff. Well, it was also an evolutionary process, even when I started covering videos and stuff, I didn't have that kind of fashion sense. I really gotta say, K-pop really helped me improve my fashion sense, get a lot of ideas into clothes and everything. Honestly, I don't shop a lot. I mean, I do, but not a lot that I have a lot of clothes. But I never throw away my old clothes. So a lot of my covers have older clothes that I never threw off, and a lot of DIY stuff. Like the Songhwa's outfit that I had. I don't know if I could show you, or like there was a picture or something if you could see. But the hand gloves that basically they were actually my dad's old socks. They were dad's old socks that I cut off and use them. And other things, like they were just a basic black jeans, white t-shirt, some suspenders. Like there are some basic outfits that I knew I need to have. Some jeans, black jeans, white jeans, black shorts, black shirt, white shirt. These things come up everywhere, and I can just improvise them into every cover, a skirt or a dress. And then I also borrow from my mom and my brother and my dad sometimes. So yeah, and then a lot of times I made DIY clothes. Like once I made a DIY skirt from some clothes that I had. Watched a lot of DIY videos. So I basically, what I do is these days when I watch a cover, I immediately start thinking the similar clothes that I have in my cupboard. Like I have a lot of clothes, and surprisingly, I remember all the things that I have in my mind. So it's like, when I see a music video, I'm placing all of the clothes in my mind. Okay, fine, this combination would come out good. So that's how I do my outfits. And coming to learning dances and doing the cover, well, it I improved through time. Honestly, my initial videos were not that great. I took time a lot to practice, but as I danced a lot through the years, I think I've improved into how quickly I learn a dance, quickly I learn a choreography and execute it. Even now, I'm improving. I wouldn't say I'm perfect. Even now, like recently, I saw that maybe I could have more energy in a cover, so I tried to put more energy in my 80s cover, stuff like that. When coming to dance, I also want to talk about my dance team, which is like a really important part of my life. I have my own dance crew called LDC, and that was a whole new experience itself. Starting from 2018, participating in K-pop competitions, and like being the leader of my team, managing my team along with my teammates was a great experience. It also gave me a lot of learning experience. Apart from being a K-pop team, being the leader and managing things does give you a lot of thoughts into life. I don't know. Yeah. So and along with my crew also, we try to cover the various K-pop groups and try to have the concepts that they have. So all those things are also really interesting, really wonderful to experience. We also manage our Instagram account for LDC, for my dance crew. So thinking of content for that crew. And so overall, like dancing, dance crew, YouTube, everything is like a creative side of me, wherever these are the parts where I can use my creative ideas, my creative content on, because I do have a lot of creativity in me, and that's the place that I put my creativity into use. Yeah.
That's so cool. So one of the most important thing that I wanted to ask is that The 12 pass outs of this year, or also there might have been medical aspirants, including my own
Yeah.
sister. So they are actually
Oh.
preparing for needs, and they are kind of facing the similar situation that you were facing 4 years ago, the anxiety, the
Mhm.
uncertainty. So I kind of,
Yes.
it might not be the same situation, but it is kind of similar. So if
Yeah.
the viewers or those kind of aspirants who are wondering what to do, it might not be, as you mentioned, you cannot give an exact solution to them on when the exam is going to be or how you should prepare, but
Yeah.
like the mental preparation. And since you have been in the field for 3 years, can you give some words to them that can inspire
So
them and
I would
motivate them?
be, I would be glad to. I would be glad to. I know it is a very difficult time, like given the corona and quarantine and everything, and you have to constantly be home. I'm sure everybody's like right now studying, studying, studying. The days are coming closer, and it is a stressful time. It will be for everyone. So don't think it's something abnormal. Being stressed is normal. It's fine. But we have to make ourselves realize that we shouldn't be stressed for too long. We need to have our coping mechanisms. See, don't think about the current situation outside, corona, everything. All of that isn't gonna, what to say, matter in your studies. Okay, that's something outside. And like starting your college, everything is it's going to be after your need, and you don't have to worry about getting infected going to college and stuff. Like that's what I'm saying. Lessen your worries. Try to, like, if you have certain things in your mind that are worrying you, first think, do you really need to worry about them? Categorize them. Think the needs that you need to worry about, and other things that you don't need to, put them out. Again, categorize them. And having a timetable always helps a lot. Those people who ask me, having a timetable really helps a lot.
Mm.
And it is going to be a stressful time, but then you need to keep reminding yourself why you are doing this. Okay, now I'm hoping that those who are writing your NEET or aspiring to write NEET are people who want to be doctor. First of all, that's very important. If you want to be a doctor, if you're motivated that that is a career that you want to go, that's a profession that you want to do, that is the first thing that will motivate you to study. If there's someone who doesn't want to be a doctor, who is not interested in biology and is going to write NEET, then that is very difficult. I don't know how to help you out there. It is going to be difficult for you to manage that thing. So first thing, know why you chose to write NEET. Know why you chose the medical profession. Think of that, and whenever you get stressed, whenever you think, oh my god, I'm not able to do this, remind yourself, you're doing this because you want to be a doctor. You might have had image of yourself, wearing the white coat, wearing the stethoscope and treating people. Like that's what most of the people dream about. That's what I used to think too. And whenever I had my, low moment, I used to fantasize me being a doctor, having my own hospital or treating a patient. These things, it's a normal dream, it's a fantasy, but then these things really help you a lot. So think of that future you and try to make that a goal and inspiration for yourself. Make your future you an inspiration for yourself. Tell yourself you're going to be a doctor, that's why you're doing this. You'll have to constantly keep reminding yourself that. Even while I'm in medical college, there are times that I need to remind myself that I'm doing this because I'm going to be a doctor. So that's one of the major things that you can do. Apart from that, have a healthy lifestyle. It's very important. Don't get sick while studying. Sleep well, eat well, and have your fair share of break time. Do things that you like to do. Definitely, choose something that you like and make it your, like how I made watching dramas during my study time a motivation, a reward. Reward yourself while studying. Yeah, so these are the small things that you can use, and yeah, go for it.
So thank you so much, Riya, for joining. I'm sure that many of us are inspired. Thank you for sharing your all structured life. And you also gave us a detail about K-pop. Like that might be viewers who are not into K-pop who might think that K-pop is only about singing songs and listening to them and dancing to them. But you just, like explained about the whole community, your dance group, the covers and the dedication you put into while making covers, and the fashion, everything. So I think that the viewers are really happy to listen to them, and it just gave them a wider view on things that they never imagined about. So thank you so much, Riya.
I'm
So,
glad. I hope this interview helps a lot of people. And thank you so much for having me. It was really a good experience to talk about all these things and really good questions.
thank you so much, Ria. So, finally, would you like to give your social media accounts and even your YouTube channel a shout out so that our viewers can
Yeah.
follow you? Yes.
Thank you so much, and I hope you guys can watch my YouTube channel. It's my name, Ria Rajkumar, RHEA, and I've got my K-pop dance covers over there. I have vlogs about my medical college life, and I've also shared how I got into medicine and some Q&As about the usual frequent questions asked about medical college life. And then I also have some K-pop vlogs, the events that I attended, and stuff like that. It's a varied amount of content, but it's all about me and all the things that I like, and it will inspire you or at least tell you or help you in certain ways. I hope so, and it is a fun channel. I hope you check it out. Subscribe to my channel, tell people about it, and on Instagram I am at the rate the Tomboy Princess. You can follow me over there, and you can also follow my dance crew LDC Official. I've told about everything. Yep. So I hope all of this helps you guys, and hope you guys have fun watching all the content. Yeah.
Thank you, Ria. So, as for me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Anthea Isaac,
Yes. Do check
ISAAC.
out her interviews on her YouTube channel. She's doing an amazing job right now. You know, it's a ultimate experience for all of us. Check out her YouTube channel. Subscribe to her.
Thank you, Ria, for the shout out. And also visit my website. I have my blogs and other articles I do write. So if you don't know, you can check there. And thank you so much for your time. And once again, a big shout out for our guest. So thank you so much, guys. Make sure to comment and like. Do share your reviews about the interview. Share some questions and show some love for our guest for this weekend. And I will meet you in the next weekend's episode where I will bring you another amazing guest. So stay tuned, stay home, stay safe, spread love, and be loved. Thank you guys once again. Bye.